Hello again everybody, this is Will Robson here. You can check out my work at facebook.com/RobsonINK. So this is part 3 of my pinup video series, and choice A was approved, so that's what we're going to go for. So I decided that before I went to pencils I would flesh out the roughs as much as possible. And the only problem I found with fleshing out roughs, and by that I mean just turning these objects into real solid three-dimensional objects, so that later on when I add pencils and inking I know where to put all the lighting, because I know all the planes and I know all the forms of these figures. The only problem with doing this is that and I always find this when going to pencils anyways, you really lose the smoothness and fluidity of those roughs, because those quick roughs, they have so much action in them, where since they're all quick straight lines you sort of lose that. So hopefully when I get to inks I can bring some of that sort of liveliness back to the piece by putting in some really quick brush strokes, because quick brush strokes to me look very fluid and action based. So this is the girl kicking here. Now I've been studying recently, I've been looking at a lot of Danger Girl, because I mean if you want to learn how to draw good looking comic book women, and Jeff Scott Campbell is always going to be your choice. And I got this book that he has, which is sort of the Danger Girl sketchbook, and in it he sort of breaks down for someone that's going to build sort of models of his characters, you know, statues, the way he draws his characters. And there's some things that he does that I think he makes the waist a bit too thin, but that's old Jeff Scott Campbell. But anyway, I was really trying to figure out how to do it, because you know the figure of a man and the figure of a woman are very different. I mean, the hips should always be wider than the shoulders, and I don't think I achieved that right away with this, but this is why later on in pencils I'm going to be hopefully being able to do it. That's why she sort of has you can see a bum more there, because I'm trying to sort of render it out. So I'm going to have sort of garbage bags down here, just because it sort of adds a bit more layers to the foreground and stuff like that. And this guy's getting kicks in the face here, so he's, you know, sort of dead weight. Oh my god, I've been hit in the face. You know, I'm done for the day, folks. Goodbye. You know, that's sort of the reaction I wanted from him. So I'm gonna have this guy's lips sort of out and probably spitting blood, or just spitting, and because I won't be colouring this piece, so I don't know if this piece is going to be coloured at all. I'm not sure yet. So here's sort of a gun that I have in the foreground. I drew it really small first, because I find if I can draw things comfortably smaller and then just stretch them out, it's just a quicker process. And there's a lot of pauses in this video because I was getting lots of messages on Facebook. So you should turn your phone off when working, because it can get very, very distracting. So what am I doing now? This guy gets changed later on, because if you look at this pose, he's sort of just standing there in like a super heroic action pose, as if he was like on the girl's team. Like he's not really doing anything there. Like if you were a mobster chasing a girl and you were just standing there like that, that would be silly. So that gets changed later on. I do like rendering out these figures though, because it helps me. Like I can't jump straight to pencils from those roughs, because they're just a bit too rough. If I get this stage done to the best possible way I can, then everything else is quite easy, because there'll be no guessing work in the pencils, there'll be no guessing work in the inks, and that's what I used to do. I used to not even render out 3D objects. I used to just sort of do really loose sketches and then finish them up, but then they'd have a lack of form to them, and they'd look very flat, where having all of this here, you know, I know when I chuck my perspective ruler in, I know where everything's going to go, so it's better. You know, all those wrapping lines around them are essential, because it's and you see I put a line through them as well, because it tells me what plane to add the shading on, and also when I add the rendering I know where all those sort of wrapping render lines are going to wrap around the form, because that's all rendering, or the way I render it is I just wrap it around the form towards the shading. So yeah, so you see there I erased the guy, and I sort of now have me in a running sort of pose, and then I'm going to chuck like a really big dude behind him, because I wanted some variation in the characters. I didn't want them all to be the same body build, so there I have a big dude there, and those guys are going to be tiny on the page anyway. That's a little detail that people probably aren't going to see. And I'm going to look at a hell of a lot of John Byrne Daredevil and Batman pinups he's done, because my god, the textures he can create with buildings are fantastic. So I'm going to really practice and bring them out in this image. So all those buildings are going to have, you know, I'm gonna use this piece as an excuse to really focus on how to draw nice looking architecture and things like that. So I'll look at some actual photo references as well. Anyway, so those that's all roughed out then. So the next process will be pencils. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time on the Will Robson Show. Goodbye.